welcome you to the Florida State College at Jacksonville for the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI Companies. Ready to roll for our first semifinal matchup of the night. It's the undefeated 5-0 Providence Stallions taking on the undefeated 5-0 Oakleaf Knights. Sean Salisbury with Coach Toby Frazier tonight as the Stallions bring out their starting five. This team has flat out dominated everyone in their path, including a 52-point win over Mandarin last night against the Mustangs. Toby, what are your first impressions? What do you like? What's so formidable about one of the best teams in the area?
You know, this Providence team, Sean, they're very patient. They're an experienced group. They have a lot of confidence. Mason Lee is tremendous on the perimeter. Jalen Robinson is a super athlete, and they get it done by committee.
The legendary Jim Martin throws out his starting five of Chris Arias, Mason Lee, Brady Patterson, Jalen Robinson, and Abdul Mansoure after scoring 10 points last night. Coach Martin said he really earned a spot in the lineup today. Meanwhile, for Coach Jason Price in year 13 at Oakleaf, his starting five is Michael Compierre, his captain point guard Dylan Lewis, Sean Jones, Devin Kirsch, and Cameron Coachman anchoring the defense down low. Today's starting lineups brought to you by the Bossa Barbecue, Bono's Barbecue. Remember, if it ain't a pit, it ain't legit. Meanwhile, for Oakleaf, a team off to its best start in program history. How crucial is first 4 minutes? How do you maintain that confidence going up against a juggernaut?
You know, you have to get off to a good start if you're Oakleaf. This Providence team is known for powerful, fast first quarters. You don't want to get off to a slow start if you're Oakleaf.
Jalen Robinson standing tall at 6'6", taking on the 6'7" senior Cam Coachman. Our officials tonight, Donald Hodges, John Johnson, and David DeTota. Looks like Robinson went a little early, so Oakleaf ball to kick off our first of two semifinals tonight. And right off the catch, Coachman steps on the sideline out of bounds.
You know, you hate to see a turnover coming off your initial timeout on the floor, leaving the huddle. You know, as frustrating as a coach, you want to get a good shot, at least a shot attempt on the first possession of the game.
Here comes point guard standing tall at 6'6", Chris Arias. Good defense and the turnover forced by Sean Jones. Here comes the senior for the Knights, right to the basket for two.
It's a nice play by Sean Jones, nice crafty left-hand finish. You know, he didn't use his right hand at all, which is, you know, advantageous for him because a lot of times the defensive player likes to try to get a strip. Savvy move by him.
Get ready to see a lot of possessions tonight. Quick shot on the way, no good from Brady Patterson. The boards cleared up by Dylan Lewis, the do-it-all point guard who already has a triple-double to his name this season. Good extra pass and a wide-open shot goes down for Devin Kirsch. That's what's funny, 4 seniors in this starting lineup, Toby. It's something we talked about before the game. They're not going to be fazed by the prowess of Providence.
And when you have a senior-led group, that comes with confidence and an ego, a positive ego.
Robinson, baseline drive and throw down.
That's the athleticism there we talked about Robinson. He's very explosive.
Associate head coach Matt Santoni raves about that ability to get up more on the defensive side of the ball. Said he's a very crafty shot blocker, but boy, he's had a couple of dunks this year that have really brought the roof down over at his home gym. In trouble, Coachman. It's a long two, and he rattles it home. Good start for Oakleaf, making their first 3 shot attempts.
You know, Coachman surprised me with that one. Coach Price, you know, calls him a shot blocker. He didn't mention his ability to shoot 3-point shots. That's a great shot by Coachman there.
They described him to us as a game wrecker, mostly because he's had 8 blocks in a single game at one point. Now in front of the Oakleaf bench, Arias turns it over.
Sean, you know, the pressure that Oakleaf is able to apply on the perimeter is something that I haven't seen a team do to Providence so far this season.
look at the size and the athleticism on display here. Poetry in motion to find Coachman on the run.
This game has, you know, with it being a semifinal game, it does have a final feel to it. And I think that's what Providence has. Anytime you get a chance to play them, you know, the level of intensity is high.
Oakleaf on the outside looking in for a lot of projections, but they're playing like one of the best early. That's Perch on the perimeter, forcing another turnover. Jim Martin not happy, calls timeout. 8-2 Oakleaf in the opening 3 minutes. Quick 30-second timeout for the Stallions, who have blown past everybody in their path, maybe the exception of taking down IMG Academy in game 1 this year in a 66-59 win. That's one of the best teams you're ever going to see on any schedule, playing a team like IMG Academy, a school that literally only has athletes on its campus, Toby. What does it do coming off a 52-point win last night to try to refocus, reset? No, we're going to be in a battle.
You know, with young kids, it's tough because there's inconsistency in the competition, and as a coach, you want to get your kids prepared to play a certain level no matter who the opponent is. But the human element of it when you're coaching kids is, you know, their temperament usually goes with the level of competition, and this Oakleaf team has come out and thrown a haymaker the first few minutes.
Bring the ball up the floor with an early lead. Arias getting after it defensively. 1-3-1. Great ball movement again. It seems like there's been a white shirt open on every offensive possession.
And when you can score, when a team goes to changes defense and you can score that first possession, that's a huge confidence boost for your players.
Patterson hands off to David Fonville, just checked into the game. Robinson kicks it back out. Fonville lost his dribble, now forced to reset with UNF signee Mason Lee. Now Arias, who committed to Jacksonville University last month. And Coachman swipes that pass out of bounds.
Yeah, Oakleaf, they are extending their man-to-man defense. They're in the passing lane. They're making every catch hard for this Providence team.
Caleb McAbee, a Creekside transfer, comes on for the Stallions. Going 10 too early. Arias, nice kick out pass, open three is pure. From David Fonville, making an impact off the bench for a very deep Stallions roster.
And that's a timely three-pointer. They have been struggling. Mainly, they haven't gotten any shot attempts. They've turned the ball over several times, so that's a happy sight for Coach Martin there.
Elbow J off the mark. Finally, a miss for Oakleaf, to the delight of Providence. Coach Jim Martin mentioned he's got 10, 12 guys that can play in any school in the area, as Arias is rejected and then tosses up an air ball.
You know, the size of Oakleaf, I'm surprised at their length, especially with Dylan Lewis being a point guard at that size. That's great size for this Oakleaf team. Matches, these teams are very compatible.
It's basketball in 2022, huh? Being able to guard all 5 positions. Very diverse group out there. Nice patience. Doesn't pay off there on the jumper by Fonville, but a foul underneath for Mason Lee.
It's a great offensive rebound there by Mason Lee. You know, I was going to say earlier, Sean, you know, that's the first possession that Providence have gone to the offensive glass. They've sent 3 or 4 guys back on defense, and I'm wondering if Coach Martin has a concern about the transition offense of this Oakleaf team. Good to see Mason Lee go there to get an offensive rebound. I'm curious to see if they continue to go or they decide to play heavy more side on transition defense.
Associate head coach Matt Santoni of Providence said Mason is our vocal leader. He gets us going, and it's usually those little plays, offensive rebounds, diving on the floor for a loose ball. Our team really follows him, as you would expect. Second team member on the All News for Jack's team last year, only non-senior on the first or second teams. That's a tough shot. Good contest from Providence. And an air ball on this end from Michael Compierre. It's amazing to talk about Oakleaf off to its best start in school history. Michael's older brother, David, averaged 19 points per game last year. Really solved a lot of problems for them, but hey, you can't forget about the Knights. They're playing their best ball.
You know, it's exciting. Like, I love to see this, you know, especially with the blowout games that we've seen. It's a pleasant sight to see a good competitive game so far.
Coach with the defense on one end. A three from Lewis, short. Rebound to the Knights. Compierre, dangerous pass. Still finds Jones in trouble. The pressure gets to the Knights, and they cough it up in front of the Stallion bench.
You know, the defensive change by Coach Martin, he's elected to go to a 1-3-1 defense in the half court. With the size and athleticism that they have, it's difficult to play against a 1-3-1 defense because it makes the court small. You have a high defender at the top whose job is to make the two guards throw lob passes, and they've done a great job the last two possessions.
And now another turnover forced. One end to the other, it's too strong off the glass. Offensive rebound for Devin Kirsch. Now Kirsch in a crowd, travels. Break it down for me really quick, that 1-3-1. We know that one at the bottom's going end to end, but how do you make sure you don't have miscommunication, you don't have that leak out right by the basket like we saw earlier?
Well, the job that you want your defenders to do is have high hands, long hands to make lob passes. Those lob passes allow the weak side defenders to rotate, and the weak spot of the 1-3-1 is the weak side block.
Arias, a couple of tries, can't put it home. Lewis ahead of the pack, scores in transition.
And the transition defense right now for Providence is struggling primarily because of the athleticism and how fast Oakleaf gets the ball up the floor.
Robinson thought about the three. Good spin move inside. Couldn't finish. Got his own miss. Sent back by Coachman. Now a third chance on the possession for Brady Patterson in Providence. Great killer cross. But again, Coachman protects the rim. Jumping out of the building with 3 blocks in the first quarter.
It's a block party on Beach Boulevard tonight.
Throw it up to the big fella. Reward that defense with a bucket. The game record described by Coach Jason Price said he flips games like that for us. And we're seeing why in the final minutes of the first quarter. You got springs in those legs or what? They don't have to check that sleeve. Now Arias all alone gets his first bucket to fall after a team-high 19 points in yesterday's quarterfinal win.
And you know, Sean, the weak side, pay attention to the weak side block against this 1-3-1 zone. Coachman just caught a lob on the weak side that last possession.
Good anticipation from Lee to intercept that pass. Final minute of the first quarter that has been controlled by Oakley. Taking on the #1 team in every outlet's ranking of basketball teams in the Jacksonville area. Also known as one of the best in the state of Florida. Mason Lee on the catch, steps on the sideline. That's the second time we've seen it on this near side.
And that's the ball pressure that's being applied by Oakley. They're making everything tough for this Providence team so far in this first quarter.
Oakleaf, another team that really hasn't had to grind out a win. They've pretty much dominated the first 5 games they've played, including leading Reigns yesterday, 31-4 at the half. Good kick out, open 3 on the way, short from Aaron Rivers. He had a team-high 13 points yesterday in the win. And Arias will settle it down, likely to be the final shot of the first quarter. Dallas Skinner out defending the JU commit. Crossover, kick out, 3 on the way, no good. Lewis to Rivers, final second, couldn't get it off in time. But that ends in impressive first 8 minutes from the Oakleaf Knights. Just in year 13 out on the first coast, but a lot to like from Jason Price's group, son.
You know, I'm impressed with the first quarter from this Oakley team. Cameron Coachman is a rim protector. They're playing great pressure defense on the perimeter, and they're making it hard for Providence to initiate their offense.
And Providence looks really uncomfortable these first 8 minutes. You're in the huddle. What are you trying to change? Is it just maybe more of a transition approach, or or do you just tell your guys, hey, just breathe a little, everything's fine?
Well, Providence is a high executing team traditionally in the half court. With the pressure that Oak Leaf is playing, your plays are going to break down and your players are just going to have to make plays. So right now the Providence players are looking to make the next pass. They need to make a concerted effort to make individual plays and just make the right play.
It just goes back to everything the coaching staff from Providence was telling us and saying, yeah, we have state title aspirations, but remember us last year, we finished 25-5, won our first 2 playoff games by a single point over Episcopal and Bishop Snyder, then lost to eventual state champ Florida High.
Yeah.
And with Trey Donaldson, an Auburn commit, he took over that game in the second half. And the coaches from Providence were honest in saying, hey, we just weren't tough enough that game. We need to understand that and finding that gear in these similar settings of, okay, this is going to be a state tournament type field.
You know, and that's what these games are for, Sean. They faced a little bit of adversity in this first quarter. They haven't been down so far this season at the end of the first quarter. So, and these are the tests that you want to put your players through. Can we respond? We hit a little bit of adversity. How can we respond in the second quarter?
Coach nailed it in the first quarter right before the tip. Providence known to just blast opponents. They try to lob it inside with a mismatch. Lewis came in to help and couldn't save it as they tried to find the tall, lanky 6'6" Chris Arias. Just a junior, but one of the top recruits in the class of 2024 in Florida. Going to 24/7, the 14th best recruit in the state. Another poke out of bounds. Good job by Rivers.
And Coach Martin is known on baseline out of bounds to get his shooters, have his shooters take the ball out and see if he gets something back to the shooter on the inbound.
Lee working downhill, drops it off. Robinson with authority over Coachman. What a battle on the block we have tonight.
And you like to see that. A lot of times young kids shy away. They don't want to get dunked on. Kudos to Coachman for challenging Robinson at the rim. That's what competition is all about.
I'm sure Cam will say, I got you the first couple of times. Great back and forth between Oak Leaf and Providence. Our first of 2 semifinals tonight. Nice and Sandalwood will come at approximately 8 o'clock following the conclusion of this game before tomorrow night's championship on CW17 at 7:15. Oak Leaf starting to slow it down in a different defensive look.
Yeah, Providence is in a 1-2-2. They have a 1-2-2 matchup look here.
And on the trap, force of travel.
And, you know, from a coaching perspective, when you change defenses, no matter what defense you change to, it allows you to throw the rhythm off of your opponent, and it makes them think. And you see there a little untraditional look. Oak Leaf not really sure what it is. We got a travel and a turnover.
Good pass on the wing. It's open, but off the mark. Nice try from B.J. Boykin. Robinson puts it on the deck and resets with Patterson. Now Lee, defended by the 5'8" Rivers, quickly gets rid of it. Good team defense all around from Oak Leaf. Lee lets it fly and buries it.
Tough shot by Mason Lee. It's a big-time three-pointer.
Averaged close to 11 per game last year, but has taken his game to another level in his senior season. Dallas Skinner slows it down. One of 7 seniors on this veteran group for Jason Price. Season marred by injuries last year. They whip it inside. Great pass by Dylan Lewis. Found Travis Knox inside.
And that's the dilemma, Sean. So I just spoke about how when you change defense, it throws off the rhythm. But Providence stayed in that defense, and it allowed Oak Leaf to get a little bit more comfortable. They figured it out, that possession. So, you know, do you change again, or do you stay where you are on defense? And that's the fun part of coaching.
Boykin has a lane to the rim. Couldn't muscle it home. Now Lee puts it in. And a foul. Now a chance to get three in the old-fashioned way for Mason Lee.
And he's made a concerted effort this first half to hit the offensive glass. You like to see young kids try to score in every way possible. He's not just a jump shot shooter. He's getting to the rim. He's going to the offensive glass. Like, he's committed to being productive for his team.
And again, we can talk about the scoring, the big numbers he can really put up in his sleep. Can't tie it up here. The coaches have challenged him to say, hey, we need you to lock guys down. We need you to rebound on both ends. You need to become a more complete player.
And that's very important for players who have aspirations, especially playing on Division I level. You can't be one-dimensional.
That's exactly what they've said. Now it's time to get him ready for college ball and experiment a little, but also, how can we elevate him in all areas? Chris Arias called for a calming violation out near between the circles.
And the pressure from Oakleaf, the on-ball defense has been tremendous, and they've caused a lot of problems so far in this first half for Providence. They're struggling getting into their sets. They have no rhythm on offense.
Lewis stays composed with the double coming his way. Tough pass there. Nice job by Rivers to just bank it off of Robinson and avoid another Oakleaf giveaway.
Heady play. That's a heady play. No, you can't coach that.
There's a throwaway. Lee one-on-one to the rim. Puts Providence ahead for the first time tonight. Climbing back after an early 10-2 deficit.
And we just spoke about Mason Lee getting it done in other ways, and he's selling out. They're diving for a loose ball. Like, he's committed to winning this basketball game. You love to see young players contribute in so many different ways.
Goes back to the motto emphasized by the Providence team. Has been always dominant in this area, especially over the last decade. Earned, not given. Mason Lee has earned every one of his opportunities in the first half. Now midway through the second quarter, Lewis on a kick out to Rivers. Nothing but air. Kirshner board, but stripped by Lee. He's had his hand in a number of plays throughout this Stallion run. And in transition, Robinson travels.
You know, I'm surprised that Robinson is getting the closeouts that he's getting from Oakleaf, being that he's a primary driver and he can finish strong above the rim. I'll take my chances with him shooting a three-pointer, you know, before we get a long closeout and he drives by. You know, he luckily for Oakleaf, he stepped out of bounds there.
Oakleaf trying to stay composed. Team that lost its #1 scorer in David Compierre, the #1 rebounder, and Keyshawn Riley a season ago. Dealt with all kinds of injuries and relied on those two guys to get it done for a 13-12 team. They throw it away here. David's younger brother, Michael Compierre, trying to kick to the corner, but that one sails out of bounds.
Yeah, wild pass there. You like to see kids jump stop, get in the lane, jump stop. You know, you try to stay away from leaving your feet to make a pass. It's hard to come away from that. Use your ball fake, stay under control.
To wrap the point, Coach Price said, we want this challenge. We want the adversity to see how do we respond as Mason Lee has taken over this game. Another one down the hatch to put Providence up 21-17 with 3:09 to go in the half. It's time for us to take a quick break, get fit in the new year with our friends at the YMCA. Well, now Oakleaf, you go up 10-2. Providence is a little helter-skelter. Finally found their footing, and this run just emphasizes what this team's about. What does Oakleaf need to do this last 3:09 to make sure this doesn't become a double-digit deficit?
You know, they have to get untraditional on offense. Coach Martin has elected to go to multiple zone offenses. Dylan Lewis is the primary initiator for Oakleaf, but I would like to see Coach Price move him around because he also can score the basketball. So I would like to see him move him around, put him at the high post and short corner, give him an opportunity to score versus just being a facilitator.
He can do everything at a high level. Pass, shoot. Rebound. They lob it up to him, but no. Some traffic inside on the pass, which Lewis did bobble. There was a hole around the rim, and it goes against Oakley.
I like the idea by Coach Price coming out of the timeout, trying to get a look at something at the basket. They've been struggling against the zone, just an errant pass. I would stay with that.
Coachman called for his first foul. Arias on a pull-up pop, it's short. Rebound inside, out to Lee. What an effort by Providence's David Fonville. Good minutes off the bench tonight for Jim Martin. High screen for Arias, and he stepped out of bounds. Lewis with the lockdown defense with 2:35 to play in the second quarter.
And Sean, I think that's about the fourth turnover here on this sideline over here in front of us. It's just the ball pressure by Oakley has just been so tenacious. It's given the ball handlers for Providence so much trouble.
Everyone getting a touch for Oakley, trying to shift that zone defense. Lewis with a runner, high arcing, no. The rebound snatched away by Caleb Maccabee. The junior guard helps bring it up the floor. Lee wants it, instead they go inside. Where Providence can't keep it in play. They give it right back to the Knights. Travis Knox will come back in for Coachman to avoid getting his second foul in the final minutes of the half.
And with this zone defense, Sean, it allows Mason Lee to survive on the floor. He's getting a good rest in between possessions, playing his zone defense, which is another smart move by Coach Martin because he's playing so hard. You know, playing man-to-man would make him exert a lot more energy than playing in his zone.
Yeah, really, 1-2-2. He's going top of the key, elbow to elbow, no?
Right.
He'll say he's working hard out there as Providence gets another stop. They feed the corner. That's good. Providence with a barrage behind the arc. This is Maccabee. And the lead has grown to 7. Turnover Oakley. Providence, after a rough start trailing 10-2, have turned this thing around.
It's a big shot by Maccabee there. It's a big timely basket. Somebody other than Mason Lee being able to make a shot right now is big for Providence.
Good contributions off the bench for a team that says they can go 10-12 deep any day. Layup not there for Jalen Robinson, part of that big three with Lee and Arias. Lewis. Now the final minute of the half. Oakley desperate for a basket. Lewis can't provide the stop to this run. He'll get it again. A deflection somehow finds its way inside of Knox. And he gets the first basket in the last few minutes for Oakley, excuse me.
And that's a good pass by Dylan Lewis from the high post of the zone, and which is an ideal that I would like to see Oakley continue to do. He's a smart passer, great vision. Putting him at the high post would allow him to make passes to finishers versus having him on the perimeter and having him make a pass to another reversal guy.
Final 20 seconds of the half. What would you draw up here if you were on Providence's bench?
Well, being that I know Coach Martin so well, I wouldn't be surprised if he get into a side ball screen slip action to try to get a layup or turnover.
That's not what he wanted. Sean Jones, coast to coast. No, but Rivers, with springs in his legs, gets up to put it back. Brady Patterson, final seconds, nearly lost the leather and drains it before the buzzer. What an answer on a three-point try, and the Stallions use a number of trays to take a 6-point lead into the break. What a fast and furious first half at FSCJ. Getting ready for the halftime festivities here in our first of two semifinals tonight of the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI Companies. Let's bring you courtside now on a great day of basketball. We should really say day 2, even if we're joining a little late. Sean Salisbury with the coach, Toby Frazier, but this is what you want to see in this area, is the best basketball on display in this tournament.
You know, for this to be a semifinal game, it does have a final feel to it. It's a lot of athleticism on the floor, a lot of skill, both two great coaches. Exciting game so far.
All right, now let's get ready for our halftime festivities with our first big presentation now. One of the best parts of this is all of our sponsors, all the teams that make this happen. And if we can get a look now at center court. We're getting everybody out there and handled. Okay, and then we will get the presentation video started right now and go into our ceremony.
Honored to partner with High School 912 in recognizing a standout student each Wednesday during the school year. You'll find them on Facebook and Instagram, and we call these exceptional students the Weekly Promise Keepers. This partnership has been in perfect alignment with our commitment to our roofing customers. We believe the difference is the promise. These young men and women come from schools and programs throughout Northeast Florida. They come from all walks of life and represent a wide variety of backgrounds, interests, and accomplishments. And yet they all have at least one thing in common, a promise. For some, it's leadership, sportsmanship, and teamwork on the field. For others, it's a drive to excel academically with sights set on a powerful future. And yet for others, their promises to their community. Tonight, more than a dozen of the Promise Keeper students who have been recognized during the first half of this school year are about to be honored in front of family, friends, and tournament attendees. All of us at Covenant Roofing are deeply inspired by them and hope you will be inspired as well. To us, they represent the promise of our future, of excellence and integrity. So on behalf of all of us at Covenant Roofing, and especially our local Jacksonville and Middleburg team, congratulations to all of the Promise Keepers. Stay true to who you are, what you believe in, and remember, the difference is the promise.
Covenant Roofing believes the difference is the promise, including the promise of constantly investing into and having an impact on the communities it serves. For the past 2 years, High School 912 and Covenant Roofing partnered to create more opportunities for our high school generation and promise
Them a bright future. 14 high school students were selected to be our weekly Promise Keepers due to their hard work and dedication toward their education and the community. At this time, please welcome some of the weekly honorees representing the first half of the school year to be recognized as High School 912 Covenant Roofing Weekly Promise Award recipients. With us today are Kiana Hunter, Francisco Rodriguez, Alana Jones, Alex Tech, Dylan McLeod, Esanam Ekbe, Sky Perry, and Serenity Butler. Our other award recipients not able to attend tonight are Tammy Talley, Brooke Robinson, Miles Madry, Levi Helton, Marin McDade, Jasmine Comic, and Diego Dionisio. Once again, a round of applause for our High School 912 Covenant Roofing Weekly Promise Award recipients. Covenant Roofing, they like to say excellence above all else. More than 30 years in the business, family owned, no subcontractors. Like I was saying, Toby, one of the great sponsors for this event that help put this on in the magnitude. Just so nice of them to, again, to be willing to be part of this 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI companies. And there you go, picture it's worth 1,000 words. All of our award recipients here today. Once again, a big thank you to Covenant Roofing PA. We'll step aside. Second half about 5 minutes away in our first semifinal between Oakleaf and Providence.
A roof that was built 21 years ago. We'd had a few leaking issues and just wanted to be prepared before hurricane season. We have a company where we do electrical contracting. Knowing what it takes to go to a construction project, I was very impressed with the orchestration of this entire project with Covenant. They, I would say, under-promised and over-delivered, so I would highly recommend them.
All right, Coach, we've had a few minutes to settle in since the end of the second quarter. Take us through, especially these moments in the locker rooms. We know Jim Martin, the winningest active head coach in Jacksonville. He's no stranger to motivational pep talks and obviously the adjustments you need to make in order to reach a championship in a tournament. How much are you tweaking? How do you try to fix some of these turnover issues for either side?
From a personnel standpoint, you are who you are. So, the kids that you have on your team, that's who you have. You try to put your better players in those ball handling situations. They've turned the ball over, Providence has, uncharacteristically in this first half. You try to reassure your players of their capabilities, you keep them confident, but at the same time you want to make adjustments to put them in better situations.
Who are we looking for? We saw Cam Coachman with a number of blocks in the first half, and we saw the impact he can provide on both ends of the floor, but got a little quiet in that second quarter during the Providence run. How do you let your players like that emerge in these moments versus how do you shut down the opposition? Who are you looking for to be those pieces in the second half?
For Oakleaf, you want to keep your ball pressure up. Early on, that ball pressure was funneling. The ball pressure was funneling their guards to Cameron Coachman. So you want to keep that pressure up. Providence did a great job of changing defenses. It slowed Oakleaf down. It made them more methodical. It slowed Dylan Lewis down a little bit more. It's just a
chess match?
Yeah, it's a chess match. It's a chess match right now, and it's who can get their players to respond to the move that the coach decides to make. And so far, Providence, the players from Providence have made better moves with the adjustments of their coach.
Right, and we were talking about this before the game too. It feels like that environment, that 32 minutes that can feel like a state tournament game. You've been to a couple Final Fours in the last decade. You know what it's like to be in these moments and even these tournaments that can battle test you come February. But what does this feel like to you? Does it feel like it's on that level tonight?
It feels like a playoff game. I wouldn't say a Final Four game, but it has a playoff feel to it. These teams traditionally don't play each other during the regular season. Two good coaches, great athleticism on both sides, great guard play on both sides. You have Dylan Lewis and you have Mason Lee. It's a fun game to watch. The possessions in the second half are going to be precious. Providence can't continue to turn the ball over like they did in the first half, and Oakleaf can't allow the zone defense to make them sputter like it did in the second quarter.
Yeah, we saw Oakleaf with a fast and furious start, something that Coach Jason Price really complimented his team. He said, that's what we've done. We just jumped on people, but we want to be tested. These December games drive home the points of emphasis for a season and playoffs. We want that test because, one, we want to see how good really we are against a team as dominant as Providence to start this season, but then it's also the, hey, how do we respond after a loss? How do we respond playing 2-2, 3-3? That's not something you get every day, but I know, like you were saying, you relish these moments as a former coach because it gets in your guys' head, hey, we can win 3 games in 3 tries.
And this is going to sound weird what I'm about to say, But early on in a basketball season, games that you win early can help you lose late. And games that you lose early can help you win late. So anytime that it's early in a basketball season, you want to learn things about your team. You want to learn your personnel. You want to see who responds in certain situations, and you carry that on, those experiences, back to practice, correct those wrongs. It's a long basketball season. Everybody wants to win every game, but it's more so about preparing for the long run.
Yeah, we really have two sides of the coin, huh? We have the one team that always has state title aspirations. Then we have an Oak Leaf program in school that's only been around for 13 years. They have yet to win a state playoff game, coming off a season they had a winning record, but they want more. They've only made the state playoffs 5 times, lost in the first round, like we just said, in each of those appearances. They're hungry for more. They have a battle-tested veteran group led by their do-it-all point guard, Dylan Lewis. Natal at 6'5", ready to inbound and start this second half. Quick three from the corner off the back of the iron. Coachman pulls down the rebound. Now it's loose on the floor. It's poked free. Lee dives for it, but can't save it. But there's the effort and hustle on display for the leader of this Stallion club.
You know, I don't care what anybody says about Mason Lee. He has the intensity level of a Division I player, which a lot of players have the skill. A lot of guys want to be able to shoot it, handle it, but truth be told, you have to be made up a certain way, and the energy that he's playing with, the effort that he's playing with, he's shown me tonight that he's a Division I prospect.
Signed with UNF on November 14th, going to play his college ball locally. And yet another Providence Division I commit. Mid-range Jay around it, out, and the Knights come up empty on the opening possession of the second half. Into a three, in and out. So close for David Fonville. Oakley coughs it up again on a bad pass. Patterson, good feed inside. Robinson, through the contact, finishes with ease, and he'll go to the line to shoot one.
Nice finish by Robinson. Nice strong move, good transition basketball by Providence. You know, Sean, you want to pay attention. Coming out of halftime, you always want to pay attention to the first 3 minutes of the third quarter. Those are pivotal minutes because it's the start of the quarter. You have a chance to establish yourself on either side. So I'm interested to see how these next, couple minutes play out for either team.
Providence has now built its largest lead of the night thanks to 3 more from Robinson. The sometimes forgotten about member of the Big Three. He has about half a dozen Division I offers himself. Starting to get looks from some Power 5 institutions, according to Mom when we chatted pregame.
He has the physicality to do it.
Good pass underneath. Good vision from Sean Jones. And Kirsch finishes, no one in front. Now Lee with Compierre tight on him. This is Patterson. Now Robinson with a long 2. It's too strong. Good rebound from Sean Jones.
If I'm Coach Price, I'll live with Jalen Robinson shooting, catches, shoot threes versus driving to the rim, getting and ones or getting dunks.
Oakley trying to play a little faster. Not often they're held to 21 in some of the quarters they played this year, let alone a half.
And if you're Oakley, if you want to be careful here with the zone defense that Providence is playing, it's making them use a lot of clock. And they're shortening the game. You got to find a way to keep this game fast.
Can't connect on that lob to Lewis for the second time tonight. Just over 2 minutes into the third quarter. Providence fell behind early. They've controlled it since the beginning of the second quarter. Patterson gets by the defense. No foul, but Arias cleans it up on the miss.
move by Arias. Good jump stop.
Coachman can't answer. Look at Arias get up for the board. Lob it up. Good help defense. Coachman and Lewis all over it. And now the leak out for Kirsch. Crafty move not to finish with the left hand, but to kind of jump between the two defenders.
It's a nice move by Kirsch. That's like a slide by. It's like a ghost move.
Excuse me?
Yeah, excuse me. That's a good name for it. We might need to patent that.
From the corner, the three is good. Jalen Robinson inside and out, starting to dominate tonight. There's Kirsch with another drop-off. When Oakleaf's had that type of ball movement, they've scored pretty much every single possession.
Yeah, both teams trading baskets right now. Oakleaf can't afford to trade baskets. They have to find a way to get multiple stops to get back into this game.
Tough gamble by Jones. Defense shifting around. Providence gets the shot it wants, but can't make it. Lewis, who had the first triple-double in Oakleaf history, puts up a wild attempt. Mentioned that game at 24 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. Oh, man! Jalen Robinson climbed the ladder, young fella, and sends us to a timeout on the floor. Well, if that other one's an excuse me, that's a good night type of slam from Robinson.
You know, you see the slam by Robinson, which was impressive. But from a coaching standpoint, the bad shot that Dylan Lewis took, bad shots do not complement your transition defense. None of his teammates were aware that he was going to shoot that shot. There was no court balance, and as a result of that, Providence gets an excellent transition opportunity with a wide open dunk by Jalen Robinson.
Matt Santoni laughed. He said, okay, we'll give us some of the scouting report. He says the unlimited potential, high ceiling. He says, I don't know if I've seen a kid that can jump out of the gym like this junior we have on the roster.
You know, when kids can do stuff that you can't teach, they have a chance. They just, at that point, you align yourself with someone who can teach you, and you should turn out to be a pretty good basketball player.
Providence, a program that's won 3 state titles under Jim Martin, won this Fortegra Invitational in the first 2 years of the iteration, 2018 and 2019. As Kirsch gets the basket, can't finish. Nice job by Lewis to control the ball in midair.
And he did it with his left hand, which is even more impressive. Nice putback by Dylan Lewis.
Still an 8-point game, far from over it. You want to be behind double digits heading into the fourth quarter if you're Oakley. Bonneville, shorts. Coachman rises for the rebound.
And I'm surprised by that shot right there by Providence. That, to me, that was a little quick for the lead that they have and with the defense that Oakleaf is playing.
Kirsch looking for a cutting Lewis. Off by a hair. And that'll bring in a couple of subs. Aaron Rivers back in for Oakleaf. And DJ Boykin on for the Stallions.
And Oakleaf is extending their defense right now, which I think is a good idea at this junction in the game.
Lee, right to the basket. A man on a mission tonight, leading the charge for Providence yet again.
He scored in every way possible tonight. He scored on all 3 levels. He's been great. Offensive rebounding. Good effort by Mason Lee tonight.
On the flyby, Jalen Robinson fouls Rivers.
That foul's on Providence. Jalen Robinson, that's his first, team's first.
The Knights led 31-4 against Reigns at halftime yesterday. Went on to win 54-12. Not but one of their games. They've won by more than 20 points to start the season. They're really getting tested tonight as they turn it over again with that stifling Stallion defense.
You know, and that's what the zone defense does. There's a lot of conversation about zone defense and with situations where there's no shot clock. Some people don't like it, but the object is to win the game. And truth be told, it's just hard for young players to play against zone defense, primarily because you have to be unselfish.
Good extra pass. This is Boykin. And it's something above the backboard. And so, marked out of bounds. Gives Oakleaf a chance to catch its breath. They'll also bring Dallas Skinner back on, the 6'2 senior. Will inbound to Dylan Lewis. The German point guard who first moved to the U.S. when he entered high school. Very much that European style. As he feeds it inside. Good turnaround move and finish from Travis Knox. Scored 10 yesterday in the win over Reigns. He's near in double figures again tonight.
It's a nice finish by Knox. I like the fact that he met that pass. He didn't wait for the ball to come to him. He met and shortened the distance.
Lewis pokes it free. Numbers the other way, and Kirsch is tripped up. When Oakleaf has had the chance to run, it's been very rare over the last two quarters.
They are very efficient in transition, which, you know, I would like to see them play a defense right now at this junction of the game, which would complement that, which would be more of a full court press type defense, would allow them to get more opportunities in the open court.
Rivers misfires and takes a tough gamble. 5-on-4 Providence. Pulls it back with Lee. His three is short. Skinner up the floor for Oakley.
Tough shot by Lee there. You know, Providence has taken some uncharacteristic shots. Typically they're very disciplined, under control.
Kirsch killing it with a mid-range. Starting to bring Oakleaf back. Providence just 2 points in the last 3+ minutes. On the drive, a collision and a blocking foul. The official pointed to the restricted area. That's going to be as close as it comes.
I thought that was a charge there. The block charge call is one of the most difficult calls to make in basketball. It's a judgment call, and you have two players. There's a collision between two players. You know, I spoke to an official last week, and he told me that they tell the officials to watch the defensive player and not the offensive player. I'm not sure what the baseline official was looking at that time, but to me that looks like a charge.
Yeah, anytime you see the point to the floor, that means restricted area as opposed to just a normal block charge call. Mason Lee to inbound for Providence. And it's deflected right back to him. A little mental mistake from the star senior. Standing out of bounds, simply cut the ball.
Yeah, it happened kind of fast for him. You know, it's a two-possession game now, Sean, at the end of this third quarter. This is a great ball game so far.
Kirsch gets the ball inside, now in traffic. The Stallions defense collapses and forces the giveaway.
If I'm Providence right now, I just hope for one shot. You know, worst case scenario, we go into the fourth quarter up by 6.
Makai Martin defending near midcourt. They lob it into Lee. No one tall enough to defend that. Oakley quickly the other way. Martin, no. Off the miss. It's Kirsch ripping it away. Now underneath. It's saved in bounds. That was Abdul Mantare. Numbers the other way. And Providence is going to keep possession. His last touch by Skinner or Martin. The two Oakley players back in transition. Almost got burned again late in the half like they did on a buzzer-beating 3 at the end of the second quarter. Only 1.6 seconds left. At the buzzer, no. It's short from Fonville, but that ends another solid quarter for Providence. They increase the halftime lead by a pair, and we head to the fourth in our first semifinal of the night and the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI Companies.
Alive Credit Union held 6 weeks of a financial literacy course, teaching all of our high school students about financial literacy. Anyone that had perfect attendance over those 6 weeks was eligible to win a $1,500 check from Alive Credit Union and High School 912. We had one winner drawn out, and she is at center court tonight. Serenity Butler wins a $1,500 check from High School 912 and Alive Credit Union, and is joined by Hallie, who is an employee of Alive Credit Union. Thanks so much, and thanks for all you do at Alive Credit Union and High School 912. For more information, visit alivecu.coop. That's Alive Credit Union. Bank healthier, live happier.
Welcome back to FSCJ. Great sight. The Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI Companies. Providence trying to go 3 for 3 in this event. They won it in 2018 and 2019 and have rarely been tested, not just this season, Toby, but in this event as a whole. To break it down, in 2018, they won their games by 26, 38, and 39. In 2019, 38 before beating Episcopal by 1 and then taking out West Nassau by 9. Well, they've been happy to take home some hardware for that trophy case every time they've been in this event. Only up 8. Rivers can't get the call, but a good second effort. Travis Knox sticking with it. He has been a pleasant surprise, somebody that we weren't really keying in on.
And you like to see young kids offensive rebound. Offensive rebound is just a result of playing hard. It's a good offensive rebound put back by him at a crucial point in this game.
Good defense by Rivers. Arias still got it. Not exactly a clean look around the rim. Off that miss, Rivers in rhythm. You bets! It's a 3-point game.
And as you mentioned earlier, Sean, Oakleaf has been efficient in transition. They play their best basketball in transition versus playing in the half court.
On the drive by Robinson, he's tripped up. Foul on Oakleaf just over a minute into the 4th quarter.
That foul's on
Providence,
21, Travis
listed by the
Knox,
Florida Times-Union this week as the #1 team in the area. This week, the #1 team in the area by News for Jackson, their Super 6. Even by Max Preps, the #3 team in the state of Florida, getting all it can handle and then some. Rivers on the floor. The Knights begging for a timeout, finally get it on the opposite end. Rivers a little upset, but we'll draw the fanfare from his bench as they meet him all the way across the court.
This is the fun part, Sean. You know, both coaches in this timeout. Coach Price is trying to draw up something to get a bucket, and Coach Martin is trying to decide whether he's going to stay zone and possibly give up a wide open look, or does he want to go man-to-man at this junction after how good the zone defense has been so good to them in the second half. But this is why the coaches get paid the big bucks.
Thanks to our sports talk partners.
Does part of you miss it being in those huddles? Are you like, is this new chair comfortable just fine?
You know, that was the fun part of it. You know, being able to manufacture opportunities for your kids, being able to think through situations, you know, get good shots, strategize. You know, that's the fun part of coaching for me. That's the part that I miss. That's why it's so exciting to be over here watching it.
Yeah, really, and aside from a Mason Lee takeover, Providence is probably trailing in this game. Lee was dominant that second quarter. I know you had a guy like Isaiah Adams that could take over a game whenever you wanted, really at Paxton. How do you make sure the other 4 on the floor are just as engaged and locked in when one guy helped you take the lead in the first half?
Everybody has to be ready. You know, you have to remind guys, you have to stay ready. At any possession, it can be your opportunity to get an offensive rebound and hit a shot and make a pass. So everybody has to be ready.
Great effort by both sides. Some turnover problems, really more from some stout defense. Good drive, Skinner's runner, short. Rebound hauled in by Lee. Nice job to protect and give it back to Chris Arias. The Jacksonville University commit as of last month nearly throws it away. Skinner going to claim that he was pushed along with the rest of the fans for Oakley. But no call, Providence ball.
Yeah, and I thought that was a push by Providence. A great job by Oakley getting in the passing lane. This is going to be a battle going down the stretch. Oakley is not going away easy.
Providence's motto is earned, not given. They've really had to work tonight. Arias, no. Rebound, topped around, now out and running. Robinson back, commits the foul. Oh, Knox was full steam ahead. Robinson nearly timed that perfectly. But got a bit of the arm. Can make it a one-point game at the line.
And you think about the last two plays that Robinson has made. He's got an offensive rebound and a putback, and there he gets in the passing lane and gets a steal. Now he's at the line with an opportunity to put his team down by 1 point.
Hard to believe the last time Oakley played Providence. Now it was almost 2 years ago, January of 2021. Stallions won that game 56-27. It just shows you the growth from Coach Price, the group he has, that, hey, maybe they are one of the top 3-5 teams in the city if they can hang with Providence.
And they are, from what I've seen tonight, they're very capable. I love their perimeter defense. They have coachmen cleaning up stuff at the basket, and they have a floor general in Dylan Lewis.
Lee trying to settle things down after Providence led 37-27 midway through the third quarter. Robinson has had some big moments in this game. Now trying to take it off the dribble, but bounces it off his own foot. Oakley can retake the lead here for the first time since the opening minutes of the second quarter. Lewis directing traffic from the corner. The coach on the floor for Oakley. Martin feeds inside. Lewis, extra pass. Now Skinner, rise and fire, too strong. Arias couldn't control it and loses it out underneath.
Arias mistimed his jump there. You know, if I'm Coach Price, I try to score off this inbound.
That's what they try to do, and they earn the whistle with a fist pump from Coach Price. That was smart basketball.
You know, they've been struggling against the zone defense in the half court, so when you get a baseline out of bounds opportunity, use that opportunity to try to score immediately to alleviate having to play against the zone another possession. Great play by Coach Price and these Golden Knights of Oakleaf.
The 6'3" junior, Travis Knox, gets the friendly roll to tie it at 41. Has had his hands full in the paint all night. But it's his second and third efforts, along with Cam Coachman, that have helped Oakleaf stay competitive in some tight spots and now retake the lead. 4:48 to play in the semifinals. What a matchup this has been in the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational. Fonville whips it to Robinson on the drive. His three on the way, it's good. What a response. The junior off the bench has been massive all night for Jim Martin. We'll catch our breath with 4.5 minutes to play, waiting for our other semifinal. That will be Sandalwood after an Orange Park win yesterday. Nice took down Camden County. Don't want to look forward to that one just yet, coming up at 8 o'clock. But boy, I know you said it. You looked around during warm-ups and said, man, this just feels like that state tournament game. It feels like a tournament championship game in December.
Right. And it's a lot of it is atmosphere. You know, these kids are playing in a neutral site, which the Final Four is in a neutral site. It's a college facility. You have media here, so it has that whole vibe. And you know, if you don't win the game, it doesn't put you in a position to win the championship. So, and this is a great experience for these kids and these coaches, and it's always fun to see teams get to go through this process without going through the process. That way, when you do make it to the Final Four, you know, it's not your first time playing in a neutral site, a bigger gym, no backdrop. Usually kids struggle shooting against, you know, no backdrop. So this is fun.
Neither of these teams, both of which are 5-0 tonight, have won a game by less than 7 points. There really haven't been any tight games this year. Lewis quickly out of the timeout, blocked by Lee. Arias picks up the pace. Rivers hounding him. Now Lewis gets the tip and the steal. 2-on-1. Lewis scores. All tied at 44 midway through the fourth. Fours wild at FSCJ.
This is fun, Sean. This is fun. I almost feel like I'm still having a front row seat to this. This is so fun tonight.
Two of the best teams in the city going toe to toe. Patterson passes to Lee. Beg your pardon, that was Fonville. Now Lee travels, looking for a foul, all kinds of contact. Credit to these officials. They have really let a lot of contact go through, and we keep talking about state tournament type of atmosphere. You're not going to get those calls in those games either.
No, you're not going to get those calls. Referees typically don't want to be in the way. They don't want to get in the way of these type of games. They want to let the kids decide the outcome themselves.
Nice job by this crew all night. Oakleaf, no. Poston misses. Robinson had a step, lays it in. And he'll go to the line to shoot one. Jalen Robinson has been lethal in transition and gives Providence a nice 2-point cushion.
His first, team's fourth.
I know he can jump, Toby. I didn't know he could run, too.
Yeah, he's athletic. He's a super athlete. You know, that's a bad foul there, Sean, by Aaron Rivers. You know, you don't want to, if you're going to foul, you got to stop the layup. You can't give up the three-point play in that situation.
Robinson comes up empty there. Scored nearly 12 a game last year for a 25-win Providence team as a sophomore. Now as a junior, already with half a dozen college offers, starting to get looks from some Power 5 schools. It's easy to see why. Down by a pair with 3 to play. Oakleaf slowing it down against the Providence zone. Started to pick it apart in this second half. Feed in. It's Lewis. Couldn't get a good look at the rim and can't grab his own miss.
Tough miss by Lewis. It's a good look right at the basket. He just missed it. You can't be mad at that. It's a good possession for Oakleaf. He just didn't make the shot.
Robinson said after the disappointing loss to Florida High, the eventual state champion in the tournament last year, said, "We weren't tough enough. We've had to learn, we've had to figure out how can we be more tough by challenging us more this season." Fonville after a couple of dribbles. Robinson with some fakes. Now looks to reset. On a crossover, has a path to the rim! That's a man jam, Jalen Robinson! Woo.
Man, he can fly.
His third dunk of the night, the most important. Oakleaf with an air ball. Providence wants to calm things down with 2 to play. Lee was about to take it to the rim. Good chance to reset for the Stallions. Taking charge late, thanks to big number 12.
That's a great drive by Jalen Robinson. You know, the Oakleaf needing it to get a stop there. No weak side presence on the dribble drive. Robinson did a great job of changing directions. You know, Sean, as a coach, from an evaluation standpoint, you look for little subtle things to try to give you indications on where a kid can play in college. And one thing I noticed about Jalen Robinson, he only needs 2 dribbles from outside the three-point line to finish above the rim. And when you only need 2 dribbles, you have a bright future when you can finish above the rim like that, taking 2 dribbles outside the three-point line.
Yeah, how about a 6'6" junior in high school having that kind of killer cross?
That's nice. I mean,
That's
he's
different,
special.
right? That's not, we don't see this every day.
And, you know, I'll be honest, I came in thinking he was more of an athlete. He can play. You know, that skill on that dribble drive there.
Oakleaf out of a timeout, forces a turnover. Lewis working quickly, tosses it up, and earns the blocking call.
That foul's on Brady
It
Patterson.
did appear Brady Patterson was backing up and on his heels. We have the clock still running inside of 2 minutes. Good fix, no worries. We even headsets on. You know, the Oakland parents are just making sure we know too.
Hey, in these situations, you can tell what parents are for who.
I was impressed. You noticed it almost immediately.
I'm always looking. I'm still programmed. I'm still programmed as a coach. I always look at the clock. Every dead ball, I'm looking at the clock.
Lewis not worried about the clock here, but still misses on his first free throw. No shot clock inside of 2 minutes. You start wondering how many possessions are even left. Lewis goes 0 for 2. Second chance, Kirsch banks it in. Oakleaf really doing damage on the second chance points. 1 possession game. Patterson, Hester. Starts to bring it out near midcourt. Now Coachman with the steal. All alone down the runway. We are tied at 48.
You know, Sean, with the defense that Oakleaf is playing, Providence is not going to be able to run a set. Somebody is going to have to make a play as an individual. You can't run a play and be successful right now against this Oakleaf team.
Robinson inside of the final minute of regulation. Defended by the 6'7" Coachman. Now to Fonville. He's been great tonight. Lee on the drive. Takes a tumble, and an offensive foul is called. Who else? It's the senior Devin Kirsch coming up big. No, beg your pardon. I thought they were pointing for a charge call. Oakleaf's contingent can't believe it either. Jason Price also thought that was a charge.
That's tough there. Oh, that's tough.
We were all fooled, I guess.
You know, if I'm Providence here, John, I just hope for one shot. We take the last shot, we either lose, we either win, or we go to overtime.
You can see Lee was motioning for Robinson to take it out near midcourt. Now the star senior will hand off to Robinson. Timeout Providence. They work the clock down inside of 20 seconds.
Timeout on the floor.
To draw up a winner. 48-48. It was 27-21 Providence at the break. They trailed 10-2 in the opening minutes when Oakleaf made its first 4 shots. But then Providence still in a double-digit lead midway through the third quarter, and Oakleaf has stormed back thanks to tremendous efforts by Devin Kirsch and Travis Knox. If you're Providence, only 18 seconds here. How quick do you look for a shot? Who do you want taking the potential game winner?
In this situation, Sean, I'm going best first. I'm going best first shot. That means the soonest opportunity that we get, no matter how early it is in this situation, because you can't dictate what the defense is going to do. I'm looking for a mismatch. It may not necessarily be my best player. I have 4 guys that are capable. Harris is capable. Robinson is capable. Out of those guys, who has the best mismatch? Who has the best matchup to give us an advantage? It doesn't necessarily have to be Mason Lee in this situation, even though it's ideal.
They won by 52 points over Mandarin yesterday. They're in a battle tonight for the first time all year. Robinson catches in the backcourt. He brings it across with 10 and loses it. That's a backcourt violation, and Oakleaf has a chance to win it.
And to my point, Sean, Coachman is the best defender for Oakleaf. If I'm Coach Martin in that situation, I'm trying to attack the worst defender that Oakleaf has on the floor. Coachman has shown you the last 3 minutes of this quarter that he can defend on and off the ball.
Okay, so same question, different huddle, except you're down to 7.5 seconds. We've seen Oakleaf get a lot of second chances and make the most of them, but how do you get a good shot off with this much time left?
In this situation, 7 seconds, that's a lot of time. 7.5 seconds is a lot of time. Typically in this situation, you may see a high ball screen with shooters in the corner trying to get your ball handler going to their strong hand. So I would not be surprised to see Coachman setting a ball screen high out on the floor for Dylan Lewis, trying to turn the corner to make a play, get in the lane, a shot for himself, or a kick out to a teammate off the help.
You can even see Jim Martin giving instructions to Mason Lee. Obviously want to hold your ground and avoid a foul. Let's just try to rebound. Lewis to inbound. The captain gives it to Sean Jones. Right back. Lewis pulls up. No good. Robinson hangs on. This is so much fun. Why end it after 32 minutes? We're going to put a couple minutes on the clock and play an extra session in our first semifinal, the 5th annual Fortegra Invitational presented by the CSI Companies. We don't want it to end just yet. 48 up. It wasn't always the prettiest basketball, but to see each team really grind it out, find ways to come back, and then the other team finding a way to come back. It's really just has been the pendulum swinging in each team's favor tonight.
And the turnovers doomed Providence late, and they had multiple turnovers in the half court late. A few of those turnovers led to transition opportunities for Oakleaf, which they're great in transition. A basket twice, free throws, then they give up an offensive rebound on the missed free throw, which turned into 2 points. All those critical possessions, and we talked about it at halftime. Possessions are precious in games like this. You got to take care of the basketball, you got to score at the basket, and you have to make free throws.
Well, Providence is starting to say, you know, we have the expectations of winning state championships, and we're realistic too. We know all these teams, especially in the area, it doesn't have to be an IMG Academy for us to be circled on their calendar. We know that it's going to be from Oakleaf, it's going to be from Riverside and Mandarin. But again, we teach our kids it's the one-game mentality. We have to be humble and take care of business, then move on. But that's what can sometimes bite you in these 2 games in 2 days, 3 games in 3 days scenario as of tomorrow. And you only start really preparing for a team with a scouting report this morning.
That's, you know, that's the fun part of it. You know, it drives sometimes parents and players crazy, but as a coach, you know, it's exciting to have to prepare on quick turnarounds, unfamiliar opponents, unfamiliar facilities. That's the fun part of coaching.
Yeah, Jim Martin even pointing out, hey, it's a little bit different shooting in this gym than most other high schools. Some of the things that fans neglect to think about. Well, it does have an impact or not. Good extra pass, open 3, no good. Arias hauls in the rebound. Been a little quiet tonight. Mostly thanks to the emergence of Mason Lee and Jalen Robinson at certain points. They'll feed it to him on the run. Robinson catches the low pass. Good fake by Patterson. And hits the pull-up. That was smooth from Brady Patterson.
A good job by Patterson reading the closeout. Nice shot fake, 1-2 dribble pull-up.
Lewis off the ground for the second chance. Jones drops it off, and a foul underneath. They'll tag Lee for the foul on Dallas Skinner.
That foul's on
And he'll
Mason
shoot
Lee.
2.
That's his first. Team 6. At the line,
These possessions,
shooting 2.
Sean, are
Dallas
critical.
Skinner.
These free throws You know, from a fan perspective, you usually pay attention to the highlight plays, the dunks, the three-pointers, but these free throws are so critical in situations like this. 2 missed free throws is equivalent to a turnover.
Empty possession's not something you can have in overtime. Skinner splits the pair. For an Oak Leaf team that really recommitted itself in the offseason after all kinds of injuries last year. Dylan Lewis, the do-it-all point guard, only limited to 11 games. They said they had to go in the weight room. They had to understand, said Coach Price, you win games in June and July, not just December. Patterson with back-to-back buckets. They might wave this one off.
We have a technical foul. Technical foul on Patterson. He got in the face. He got in the face of the Oak Leaf player after the play.
Good call, Toby. So that is the call. Basket stands 52-49, but a technical free throw coming for Cam Coachman. The game wrecker, getting some Division II and NAIA looks. The senior with a chance here. And gets the first of 2.
And you see that play by Patterson, nothing malicious there, but from a referee perspective, you have to control the risk. There could have been a response to that could have been bad. So you kind of have to be on top of the instigation of those type of plays.
Still a tough call for Patterson, obviously in a very emotional setting. A great game between 2 of the best teams along the First Coast. Got to lock in now. It's a 1-point game, nearly midway through the extra session. Providence led by 6 at halftime, thanks to a buzzer-beating 3-pointer by Mason Lee. Now clinging to a 1-point lead. Kirsch can't put the Knights ahead. Had a good look at it, though.
Not a bad look by Hirsch. You know, in that situation, I felt like he probably could have drove to the basket, put the Providence defense in a position where they may foul.
Robinson spin cycle, through contact, finishes in front. A man amongst boys, Jalen Robinson has had highlight after highlight tonight.
That's a nice, strong move.
That foul's on Dylan
Nice,
Lewis.
strong, good body control
His first.
to be able to
Team
spin
7.
at that size and maintain his
The
balance.
basket is good by Jalen Robinson.
I'm
And
impressed
he
with
will
Jalen
shoot
Robinson
1.
tonight.
Mom working the scorebook for Providence tonight. Was joking, we're looking at some of the totals from this year. Make sure you're not pumping up Jalen, right? And he's laughing and saying, no, he plays his AAU ball in Orlando. He has committed himself.
We have a
That's
timeout
right.
on the
Like you
floor.
said, it's not just having the talent, it's not just being a good athlete, it's what you make with those skills, how do you build on it, how do you push yourself.
It's important
And
for
we
our
were
partners
seeing
to
him
always understand
in an
not just
overtime
what we
period,
do, but why
looking
we
like the
do
best
it.
out of the other 9.
Find out more by
And what's
visiting our
more
website
encouraging,
at Airstream Ventures.
he's playing with Mason Lee and he's playing with Chris Arias, so he can function with other good players on the floor, which is exciting for college coaches who may be recruiting him because he's going to have to play with other good players. So you always try to look for kids that can function. They don't have to be the main option all the time. He doesn't have to have the ball in his hands all the time to be productive. And that's what I've seen from him tonight. He can play.
We were joking with Jim Martin before the game saying, come on, tell us how to pick 3. It's the best, gets it done. And he laughed and says, you know, maybe Chris by a hair. He says they all do different things. They're all such great kids, great athletes. And that's why we're so good. You know, we've had James Repass in Pastors.
Right.
We had Aaron Freeman. Or we've had the Grayson Allen. We've
Right.
had the Patrick Youngs. So this is different having 3 guys at this kind of level. I don't know if we've had that along with the depth on a team before.
I like to ask coaches, if you had to leave one home, who would you leave? That'll get a right answer out of you.
I think Coach would give up his seat first. Lewis inside Coachman, off balanced. It pops out. Rivers looking for a call. Finally, we get a whistle. Oak Leaf wanted a foul. Providence a travel as Rivers hit the floor. And the arrow favors Providence. Need a towel to wipe off the ball now. Yeah, they're just letting them play, and they're just really letting them play.
Yeah, the referees are not. They're not going to interject themselves in this game at this point.
Tough to miss there for Oakleaf. Again, hasn't been a perfect game for either side by any stretch of the imagination, but I think both coaches will be happy that you can kind of play poorly in stretches against teams of this caliber and still be in positions to win.
And it shows the grit. It just shows the grit from both teams. Neither team quits.
Lewis tightly on Fonville. Lee gets past, throws up the circus shot. Doesn't matter. He'll shoot 2 at the line. They try to extend it to a 6-point lead. Sean Jones is grimacing for a moment, but good to see him pick himself back up. For a senior-led Oakleaf squad, it's really announcing itself.
Sean Jones, that's his second.
Finished 13 and 12 last year, lost their #1 scorer, lost their #1 rebounder. Didn't know what to expect coming into the year, but they have gone mano-a-mano, punch for punch. Whatever cliche you like using, Toby, you can use it for Oakleaf. But again, it comes down to finishing too.
And the door is still open. You know, it's still, depending on what Mason Lee does here, looking at a 2-possession, 3-possession game.
Have to work quickly with 60 seconds left. Oakleaf trying not to settle against the zone. Not made many 3-pointers tonight. Lewis draws nothing but air. Arias lobs to Patterson. He has 4 points in overtime, including the first 2 baskets to put Providence ahead initially. And Lee fouled out near midcourt. Will shoot more.
Foul on number
If you're
10,
Providence
Dylan
in this
Lewis,
situation, free throws and layups is the only thing that would take. You don't need to see a jump shot here. Nobody should be trying to do anything
At the line, shooting 1
heroic.
Mason Lee.
If you're Oakleaf, you're trying to score quick, you're trying to get the ball out, you're trying to advance it quick, get to the rim. You need multiple possessions, so no need to get a 3 right away.
And the 17th foul. Lee misses the 1-and-1. Lewis, floater, banks it in. Timeout Oakleaf.
Basket by
Still a
Dylan
1-possession
Lewis.
game. Still shooting 1-and-1 for Providence.
You know, I like that idea by Oakleaf. You need multiple possessions. Good job of getting a quick 2. The full court pressure should be coming for Oakleaf coming out of this timeout.
Of course, the basket, that full court press going to come from the unquestioned leader, in the words of Jason Price, because how much he loves the game, how hard he works, what he can do in all facets of the game. Mentioned he had the program's first triple-double earlier in the season against Richmond, a 24-point win. Does Oakleaf have enough magic left? We've seen Providence have trouble controlling the basketball at times tonight. So that being said, if you're Oakleaf, how quickly do you foul with some time to spare?
I'm fouling right away. First, we got to make sure we don't give up a home run play here with this situation. On the catch, we should be fouling. If I'm Oakleaf, I'm fouling. I want to extend the game as much as I can. I'm surprised they're not fouling right here.
Patterson now on the touch foul. Jason Price did not want that to be the whistle against his team, but it is with 19 ticks left.
That foul
Brady
on Aaron
Patterson
Rivers, that's his
had a
second.
couple of big moments, like we just mentioned, in
Team's
overtime.
ninth. At the
Did
line,
get tagged with a
shooting
technical
1-1,
foul,
Brady
showing
Patterson.
a little too much emotion. And calmly hits the first of 2 to make it a 2-possession game.
It's a big free throw right there. You know, I expect for Providence to fall back into a zone defense in this situation to make Oakleaf make more passes to run out their own clock.
Still time here. Lewis, tough bounce pass. Goes in and out of the hands of Knox, and Providence walking back the other way to shoot 2. Just one too many mistakes, and Providence with 2 makes here can close it out.
It was a hard-fought game for both teams. I think both teams learned a lot from this situation. Providence finally had a local competitive game, which is always good. And I think Oakleaf walks away knowing how good they really are and how good they can be.
Robinson in the double bonus. Still make this next one, make it a 5-point game. Time not on the side of the Knights. They've not had a good night shooting threes. They'll need one here. Jones. Lewis into the lane. Got it back. Couldn't score. Arias the rebound. He'll hang on. And Providence will hang on. And for the 3rd time in their appearance in this tournament, they will play in the championship game on Saturday night. They earn it with a 58-53 win in overtime.
Great game, Sean. Both teams played well, hard fought. Both athletes on both sides, skill on both sides. Great coaching by both of these coaches, Jim Martin, Jason Price. Great semifinal matchup, which had finals implications.
Providence will play either Nice or Sandalwood in tomorrow night's championship at 7:15. Both teams make their way towards center court. Providence will move their name on the bracket into the championship match. But again, what a win. You find out what your team is made of in these moments. And like we said a couple of times, Toby, they lose to Florida High in a regional final last season. They had to question their toughness. How can we grind out wins? Yeah, we know we can score. We can put up big numbers like the rest of them. But when we're in battles in the second half, how do we find those moments to succeed?
And I think they did a good job with that tonight. They have 3 guys with Arias, Robinson, and Mason Lee. They have 3 very capable guys, and it would be strange for all 3 of those guys to struggle on one night, and that's a good comfort to have as a coach, knowing that you have 3 guys that are very capable.
So we're waiting for Coach Jim Martin to come on by after his team's semifinal win. Really earning this one, 58-53. Trailed 10-2 early, led by 6 at halftime before an impressive second half effort from the Oakleaf Knights. They hang on to win. Wins are wins at the end of the day. We're now joined by Coach Martin. We'll bring you on camera here. What do you make of this? I know you guys want to test your team. You talk about toughness being such a key lesson learned after last year's loss in the playoffs. What did you learn about their toughness today?
It was good. The resilient was good. They came back, fought the whole way. Oakleaf's a very good team. I told you tonight it would be a good game. And physically, they bring everything to the table, so it was a great test for us. We've got a lot of stuff we got to clean up, but we're going to get something out of tonight's game. A blowout game, you don't get anything out of it. Tonight was a good test.
We saw each of your big 3, Mason Lee, Chris Arias, and Jalen Robinson, goodness gracious, have big moments for each of them. What's it like having that trio where you know they can have those plays that can propel you to wins at any given moment?
No, it's a great thing to have for us as 3 Division I guys that can make big plays in a big-time game.
And then looking forward to tomorrow, how do you reset? What lessons can you take from tonight so that you can come out like you know you can tomorrow?
Well, I mean, it was a great test tonight, and tomorrow it'll be another great test. So if we're not ready for tomorrow night in a championship game, shame on us. But we'll be ready, and I think tonight's game, believe it or not, will help us ready for tomorrow night championship game.